Now let's take a look at some of the other ways that you can use effects to work in your favor. Let's say you're working on a game that has very little RAM space available for sound. In this case, you're going to want to use a few assets as possible and stretch them out to use them in as many ways as possible. So, for that purpose, you can use effects to really enhance and vary the ways that you can use a single sound effect. So with that in mind, let's bring in the door sound effect. First, we'll put it in a top-level blend container as usual. And let's give it a listen. Pretty standard door closing sound. Now let's say there are two types of doors in the game. There are normal doors and there are big, heavy doors that bang shut and reverb out. You can use this same asset for both of those door sounds. So let's duplicate the sound. And now let's see what we can do with it. For starters, we can make it sound bigger by lowering its pitch. The problem is that this also slows it down and makes it play in a way that doesn't sound very natural. But we can actually make it sound a little more realistic by manipulating the waveform itself. Just pull that slider in. And now it doesn't sound so strange. It just sounds like a big door that's maybe a little further away. We can even get a bigger bang out of that by throwing in a low-pass filter. And now to get that top bang, we're going to duplicate the original door again. And then we're going to place both of these together into their own container. Now, as we saw in a previous module, we are layering these two sounds together. Let's call this one door low bang, and then we'll call this one high bang. So let's manipulate this as well to get it to fit a little closer. Adjust the volume. It's getting there, but it's still not quite sounding like a single door. So this is when we can start using effects to make this sound with two layers sound like one big metallic door. Let's take a look at some of the options we have available to us. I'm overriding the parent now, even though there are no effects on the top level big door. This is because by default, this is the only place, which is to say the top level container, where Wwise is looking for effects. So even though we don't have any effects on there, if we want to place effects on a sublevel, we have to hit override parent again. So let's see what we have here. The harmonizer is an interesting tool. If we bypass it, you can see it just thickens the sound a little bit. So that's one option. What else do we have available to us? Well, there's also a pitch shifter. And inside the pitch shifter, you can also harmonize. You can harmonize one octave up or one octave down, or you can transpose. And here we have chipmunk and monsterize. That sounds like it might be appropriate for us. Since we're working in low bang right now, that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. It could sit well with the high bang sound. Let's listen to them together. This one is still too clear. It doesn't sound like a single door at all. It doesn't sit in with that one. So let's see what we can add to the high bang that will let these two blend inside the big door container. Let's see what happens if we add the pitch shifter here as well. It will sound different because in this case, we haven't put a pitch change on the original sound. That's already better. But it's still very dry. So let's add a little bit of a reverb as well. We don't want anything too crazy. That's better. We can even change it so it feels a little bigger. And now it's actually starting to sound like one big door. So that's one way to use effects. And in this way, we can see how a few effects and layering can give us two different sounds, two different in-game assets from a single recording.